Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
As unbelievable as it sounds, this is another Arsenal podcast. That is the Away Gooners podcast. We bring news and reaction from Arsenal fans from all over the world. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Away Gooners podcast. We've got the gang back. We've got Arun back from Vada, London. Hi, Arun.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Deepak.
Hello.
Back after some time missing out on all our podcasts, been busy. Deepak is one of the person we would not be able to get him very regularly because he's trying to save the world and all that.
It's way busier than the three of us.
Yeah. If you guys haven't watched Suicide Squad, he's there in that too. Hi, Bob. Welcome back.
Hey, howdy. How are you going?
All good. All good. I mean, relatively good considering what has happened with Arsenal. But there is a silver lining in everything. Okay, I predicted a 2-0 win, but turned out it's a 2-0 win. Just not for Arsenal. That's it.
That is a home game, right? Yeah.
No, but again, this start has created a lot of trouble. This is a game that we all thought we were going to win, especially against a team that has just promoted from the Champions.
A slight change, Vijay. I said it was going to be a draw. If you look back at my prediction.
But still, that's more points than what has happened, right? We would have gotten more points than whatever happened. But to reiterate the point, right? This is a game against a team that has come up from Championship. That has not just come up from Championship. A game against a team that has to play the playoffs to get into the to get away from the Championship into the Premier League. So this is a game that we could have hoped for. Like if at the start of the season someone came and said to Arsenal, "Who's the opponent you want to play?" The weakest opponent. That is what the Arsenal fans would have wanted to play as the first game, and we got actually probably the weakest opponent. Whether that is true or not, but on paper that is the weakest opponent that we could get. And we lost.
Actually, that is not true because they could technically not play against a weaker opposition, which is playing against themselves.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah. The weakest opposition and the most difficult opposition both are Arsenal themselves.
But to start off this pod, Bob, let me ask this question, right? Because all of us have been feeling very bad about this. As a fan, every one of us have been feeling really bad. Like my first reaction after the game was that this is the worst that I've seen of Arsenal, which might not be true, which might not like it might be a recency bias and everything. So, but it's not just my reaction, right? Most of the fan base's reaction is that this is the worst point at Arsenal history. So, is this actually something tangible to that claim, or is this a knee-jerk reaction from all the fans?
See, to me, as an experience, as an Arsenal fan over the years, for every defeat that will take us away from the title, will feel like a watershed moment. But then slowly, as time moves on, as we go through December and January and all those sort of things, we get into the mix by like 5th, 6th, 7th, and all those sort of things. Our only hope would then become regress to getting into the Champions League, or now probably I should say getting into the UEFA Conference League, not even the Europa League. So that's how regressive we would become over a period of time during the course of the season. And to talk about that, it actually pains quite a lot of fans because naturally it's the start of a new season, and of course many people were overly dreaming of us, going towards the title and all those sort of things when none of those goods exist in our current team at the moment. So it feels sort of more disappointed than any other defeat. But naturally, if you come down 10 games down, and then if it's another defeat or another more defeat that you'd actually see, you'd be getting used to it by that time. So
that is the typical way of representing Arsenal fans, that you will get used to it. 6-3, you will get used to it. 6-0, you will get used to it. 8-2, you will get used to it. Finishing outside top 4, you will get used to it. Finishing outside conference ring, you will get used to it.
Well, I'd prefer that. I'd prefer finishing outside conference league. I'm not going to complain about that.
I was getting to you, Arun. So this reaction, right? I mean, as Bob was mentioning, it might be something that can happen over the course of season, but as have the days or day behind, or we've had 2 days behind. Now, when we are recording, we have had the game happen 2 days before when we are recording. So has that given you kind of a sense of like seeing it from afar now, like boxing it up?
Yeah. Okay. So I think I have a theory as to why we are like there's so much of noise, and I'll just try to say that. So the first one is we played on a Friday. Okay, we played on a Friday. We were the first team to play, and the first game we were playing against a championship team. The first game of the season is when the manager and the team was supposed to set the tempo, show the fans what they are about, what they can expect, and all that. And given that, like, in terms of the transfer activity, we haven't seen a lot happen. The team that went out was basically a very young team with with Xhaka playing probably the only senior player, right? Lack of transfer activity, number one. We lose on a Friday to a newly promoted team with electrifying atmosphere, number two. And the biggest of all, on Saturday, all the teams that are supposed to be our rivals in this top 6 race or whatever, everyone won, and everyone won by a huge margin. So the fire was already lit on Friday, and all these guys just poured a shit ton of oil on top of it over and over again. We just kept fueling the fans thing. So I think like even by Friday after the game got over, people would have just been like, till the first game on Saturday began, they would have been like, okay, this was a bad defeat. Maybe I overreacted, okay, let's just go on with the rest of the games for the weekend. And the first thing that you see is Man U beating like Leeds 5-1. That's like whatever you try to do, you try to calm yourself, you try to be equanimous. That's the point which breaks you. You see like a big rival winning 5-1. Next, you see Chelsea winning 3-0. And then you see Liverpool winning 3-0. This is just like, I think there was more noise on Saturday than on Friday. And it just all probably added to it. Like if you ask me really, like I said, I would have expected the team to show me as a fan, what can I expect? Like what should I be looking forward to this season with the tempo that you're setting with the first game? Like how much do you want it? And based on what I saw, it didn't seem like the team wanted anything at all. So when I'm expecting, my expectations are here. Even though I know that I'm an Arsenal fan, we haven't made a lot of changes. You cannot stop the fan from expecting, because it's the first game of the season against a newly promoted team. That's going to be natural. Like you said, fans probably were thinking this is the best start that we could get. And then in that best start, when the team fails to show up, we can keep pointing fingers. We can keep like pointing the blame all we want, but that's not what we want to do now. So when something of that sort happens, which is like against all of the fans' expectations and perceptions and what they thought could possibly have happened, that's going to be like a huge disappointing thing. And
so, Deepak, you were not here for the preview, but I asked the others the question. I mean, we got the answer right now for that question that I asked. Do we look ready for the season? Because that was one of the reasons that we were giving for Arteta, was that Arsenal never had a preseason under him, right? Or a good preseason under him. And then we had a preseason, and then we had our first game. And I was asking everyone last podcast about like, are we looking ready? And the answer seems to be no. Or am I reading too much into it?
It is no, actually. If you see, they are saying like Auba and Laca didn't start due to illness. I don't think so. It's true. And you bring on Martinelli, who came just a week back into the team, and start him. Does this team look ready to you? It's like a no. So basically, like Arsenal, I had like little expectation for this game. I knew Brentford would be like a tough opponent because they are coming back into Premier League after some 70 years, and they would definitely turn up. You should know that a championship team who is coming into a Premier League would try to fight for every single point which they need. We didn't turn up, basically. The players themselves, they had like no urgency or courage. They looked like they were going through some motions, like it was a training thing. You say we had like 22 shots, but it doesn't look like we had 22 shots. It was like 3 or 4 shots So
I can remember too.
yeah, so it's like there is a sense of predictability about Arsenal. Like what we do, we just play out from the back, have like terrible errors when we are pressed. We saw like Mari, Shaka, everyone like, or like
Leno.
some kind of sense of fear when we are pressed. Then what we try to do is have a slow build up and like and do something with it. Then like you cannot it's like kind of like a sense of predictability. We don't like, even after having a preseason, the team doesn't look prepared or improved like even one bit. I wasn't even surprised that we lost.
That is the concern, Deepak, right there for me, right? Like it doesn't look like we have progressed, but we should have, right? In the sense that how we ended the season is not reflected. This is the second time this is happening with me, with my eyeball test. What I'm seeing is like when Arteta took over the first time, we ended the season on a high. We won the FA Cup. We were winning. We were having a winning streak. We ended the season on a high. And then when the season restarted, we completely annihilated, right?
This is like kind of like having pressure, right? If you like at the end of the season, no one expected us to win FA Cup or any kind of thing. We were like completely like off the shackles. We didn't have any kind of pressure. We were just like underdogs. Like we were okay, fine. We will like do something and we won. It's the same the next season as well. Pepe started scoring like 5 goals in 3 games and stuff, but he didn't turn up the like almost for 30-40 games. And then when there was nothing to play for, we just turn up. This is some kind of mindset the players have right now. If there is pressure, they don't perform. If there is no pressure, they simply like turn up and have like a ball. I don't know like what is the problem. Is it with the manager or is it with the players' mentality? This has been going on for not just under Arteta. It has been under Wenger. It has been under Emery. Everything. So it is like the culture of the football club has deteriorated day by day. We don't seem to turn up at all, like when the pressure is on.
So let me come back to you, Arun, regarding this. Okay, so let's go back to the start of the game. We hear the news that Auba and Laca are not there, and that has right now it has snowballed into something else where we are talking about that they are doing they're not having a good rapport with Arteta, and there has been some disconnect with the coaching team that is being coming up, and Auba and Laca both are being put into the transfer window, and you can see that Leno is having something similar. We heard rumblings of something similar happening with Leno last season, and we have heard the rumblings of Willian and David Luiz going to Edu about Arteta last season. So is this kind of becoming a trend of like the senior players not working for and with Arteta and his coaching staff?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Or is this something that we are connecting dots like always?
Well, as fans, that's what we tend to do, right? Like when there's doom and gloom and when things don't go our way, every simple tweet or every simple message is going to be looking like a huge negative blow for us. So as natural fans, we just try to connect the dots and try to find a narrative as to what's going on or what's going wrong or what's going right. Right now, it seems like things are going wrong with the way in which the senior players are accepting or not accepting Arteta's methods and the so-called Arteta ball that we are trying to play. But then all that we have is like basic backroom speculations, right? We never had anybody like anything concrete come out. Like even after Lewis left, many times when a player leaves a club and if the player had like some sort of a beef with anyone in there, once the player leaves the club, you get to hear a lot of those stories, right? Lewis has left and it's been a long time. We still haven't heard anything. So had something happened, that would have definitely been aired out, not by Lewis, of course, but by someone close related who could be authentically, like trusted. Right now, so far, nothing has happened since Lewis left. And even Willian, he's there. He's not making any noise, So I do not know if this, the fact that Auba and Laca missed the game could actually be related to anything that has happened with the senior. I'm hoping that it is not. I would like to think that it is some sort of an illness because this happening right before the game is is not something that you would expect a normal manager to do. Like whether you're facing a big team or a small team, it's already happened once when we did that for the Tottenham game, and there was a clear reason given. We knew that it was a discipline thing, and it was taken. But here, we do not get any proper information, and all that we hear is illness, and they're going to not play for the next game either. So right now I would say like it's all based like speculations. I do not see anything like happen. I'm hoping that there's nothing serious around it, because if it is, then we do have a huge 500k problem in our hands with the two of our senior players who are supposed to score our goals not being available. So to just say summarize, I would say this might be something that we are actually like reading too much into. There might be actually nothing. They might actually be sick. We saw Auba was sick last season. He had malaria. He was like recuperating and all that. So it could possibly be something of that sort. That's what I would like to think. Like I would like to not like try to build a narrative around this.
You are a lot more positive than a lot of our fan base in that.
Well, someone needs to try and be like positive and try and. I'm not saying I'm being rational. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, this is just the other side.
I still have trouble with that, because there has been too many of the senior players. I mean, the trend that I'm seeing is that there are too many of the senior players who have been having this issue. It has not been just about like, that this is an issue for this kind of player, but there is a trend in that. That is what I'm worried about.
So let me ask you guys this, like based on what you told me, Jay. So you say you see a trend in here, right? So what does like that make you guys think? Because I think out of the four of us here, I am probably the only one who thinks it's speculation. I'm sure that Deepak doesn't think it's speculation. There's something brewing at the back.
I don't care about like Auba and Laca. Those two hasn't like pretty much turned up for like 1.5 seasons. I don't like care if they have like some issues with the manager. If you don't perform, you like needs to like be dropped out of the team. If that is the reason or illness, I'm happy with like going with youngsters. My like biggest problem is with the way we play. That is the only problem I have. I don't have any issues how Arteta deals with a player. If he is experienced or is he inexperienced, I don't care. If you're good enough, you play for Arsenal. If you like do some tantrums around the club, you just simply need to be thrown out.
But that is not my. I mean,
do you think like Aubameyang yesterday would have made us difference? He would have made like difference to the team.
No, I get that in that sense. But for me, the only thing about all this is that we usually had this kind of same kind of questions around Wenger too. When we had that he has no other voices in his coaching staff, or someone who opposes his point of view. Wenger didn't have, and Arteta doesn't seem to listen to anyone. That is my concern, right? It is not about opposition, but it is about that there is no other voice that is coming about who is going to oppose his views. If there is something that someone feels odd about it, they should be able to oppose, and they should be able to contend his decisions, contend his strategies. That is something that could happen only with the senior players. The youngsters cannot go and like, boss, we don't feel this will work. But the seniors could go and say like, boss, this I feel that this will not work. And that is what I feel is a problem. Bob, do you have a say in this?
Yeah, I think to me, I don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, whether it could be genuine illness or not. But one thing I felt that, with them not being available, our team almost looks completely depleted. If you looked at the bench, even before the start of the game, I felt that there are no strikers as well, back up to Balogun or Martinelli. I mean, it's wrong to blame them. They are just coming off. One of them is just coming off after a long Olympic spell, and then the other one is just getting his first start. It's very harsh to actually expect wonders from those guys, kids basically, to come up and then step up until or unless they are Ronaldo or some sorts. But in the end, I don't know what's the strategy behind these things. If it is not really due to any illness or anything, I felt by reprimanding them, Arteta has actually shot himself in the foot. I mean, if at all it's genuinely not due to an illness issue, and if it's due to some disciplinary reason, he's just shot himself to the foot, and then he's sort of digging his own grave further, by not picking them up.
Yeah, but Bob, I think it is the other way around. For me, it felt like that it is not Arteta who has not or reprimanded them or whatever. It felt like Auba and Laca kind of went on a strike and said, no, we are not playing.
Yeah, but
We don't know that. It's simply
whatever
like,
issue it could be, if it's not being resolved amicably, or if we are not, I mean, that's what a manager is for. He should be able to face all these things and then come up with a solution which is good for all the parties involved. And if he is not being able to convince the players for whatever reasons it might be, then probably he's not doing his job right. That's what I would feel as a fan. And worst of all, he's costing his team and us altogether. I mean, we don't have a plethora of strikers for us to choose between 5 and then just pick up the top 2, or we just have 2 fit strikers, and then if they strike for whatever reasons it might be. I mean, we are just hypothetically talking about things which might never exist, but yeah, if at all we're going into that theory, then he should be man enough to actually face those and then have convinced them to play.
But Bob, also talking about the game, let's get back to the game more than manager. This game, it felt like a EFL League Cup feeling to the starting lineup. When I saw the starting lineup, it felt good that we are starting all the youngsters and we are putting our faith in that. But see that it is most like if you remove Mari and bring on Gabriel, that's going to be younger. I mean, the team is going to get younger. And if you have, say, let's say, yeah, it's a better choice or whatever, but still the team is going to feel younger. It is not going to improve a lot. If we bring on Partey in place of Lakonga, that is going to add some experience. And if we had one of the strikers, that could add some experience. But the team feels a lot younger and feels like a lot of teenagers are being thrust upon and are asked to perform a lot more than what we would have normally expected. We would not have had similar teams under like any of the other managers. This is a team that could have played an EFL Cup. This is a team that could have played the initial rounds of FA Cup. This is not like a team which plays an EFL Cup. We all want like Martinelli to start, like Saka to start, ESR to start. How can you say this is like an EFL Cup? No, because those are the options that we have. Because we don't have better options than Martinelli.
When we start like experienced players, you say we don't give chance to youngster. When we do that, you are saying this is an EFL Cup team. No. We have to make a decision like who we want and who we don't want.
I get that, Deepak. So because why I say that we want youngsters is because our experienced players are crap.
No, see, if you take Leicester, that team doesn't have experienced enough player apart from Vardy right now. And you see how they perform. There should be a proper sense of direction, like how do we want to play? That is the biggest problem right now. It is not about whether that player is an younger player or I can understand with who's that Balogun. He is having his first game, but not Martinelli or not Pepe. And Lokanga is understandable because we didn't find a good midfielder until now. That is completely on Edu. It's not like on us. But this team could just miss Partey. That's it, I would say. And Aubameyang, and we still wouldn't have played better. That is what my point is. The thing is, we don't have a proper structure. It's not about the players. We don't know how to perform right now. It is just a sense of predictability. Pass to Tierney, cross, do something with that's it. It's not about the players we have right now. It's about the system which we are playing right now in.
So actually, Deepak touched upon it a little bit about the strategy. Let's talk about the strategy. We have had almost 2.5 seasons now. Now that this season has started, so it's almost like we have been under Arteta for 17 months, if I'm right. So, Bob, do you see actually some kind of a strategy with Arsenal? Let's forget the formation, let's forget all those things, right? Like they always talk about this 5-channel thing, or like I mean, when we say build up from the back, that's not a strategy. That's how we implement a strategy, right? A strategy is something that like playing with possession football, counter-attacking football, pressing football. This is a strategy, right? How we play on it depends on, like, that's the 5-channel attack, or like having possession, or having playing out from the back.
I don't know word about anything about those 5 channels, but I'm pretty sure they're all boring channels. You know, like it's just looking at the way you're playing, they must be like really, really boring channels.
I think before Arteta came in, and when he was actually at City, there was actually a lot of talk about when that was a time when Emery was still, in charge of Arsenal. There was a lot of talk. Oh no, we took the wrong person, and then look at how Arteta has been shaping up the youngsters. Look at how Sterling has evolved under Arteta, and all those sort of things. And then many of them really got carried away.
Sterling, that's the name that has ruined us. Everyone thought that is how it is.
Overall, if you looked at what's been talked about, the way that he would actually implement, and then the way that he would have his blueprint in terms of how he wants the play, the team to perform, and what we have seen in this 16 or 17 odd months that so far, I don't really see much translation in terms of what he wants or the philosophy that he wishes to do and what's the results on the field. I mean, you could argue that, right since the start of December last year, that we've been third on the table and we've conceded, less goals and all those sort of things. That's all fair enough. But in terms of what your strategy needs to be, or how do you want to actually take your team from defense to attack, in terms of the evolution of play, I don't really see anything, that concrete. There's been some glimpses which is shown here and there, and you could see that in some of the personnel who've been exhibiting some of these qualities. But overall, as a team, I don't think it's not. Forget about transfers and all those sort of things. You have 22 players or 25 fit players who are available for you to pick a team, and if you are not able to translate a strategy from what you think your team needs to do when in a situation and what they are implementing or what they are doing on the field are two different things. That's what I see is the missing factor here. I mean, there could be so many other things which could be related, but I personally don't see any translation between what he wants to do, what's his philosophy, and how it's getting into the field.
So, Vijay, I just have a question on that.
Yeah.
Like, now that we're talking about this, we have traditionally been known as a team that plays one-touch football, right? Like from Wenger period, it was all based on quick passing, one-touch football. And Emery came and he continued a bit of that. It was not like he changed it completely, he flipped it over. He continued with that, but then it was due to some certain changes that we went to a point where we were losing, right? So my question is, what Arteta is doing right now is completely different from what we used to do before. We were known for a quick passing. So instead of leveraging on what we had, are we like, is the problem due to the fact that we are trying to build something completely new that doesn't fit these players, and we should be leveraged? He should have leveraged more on what we already had rather than like trying to do this. Is that like, do you guys see that to be some sort of thing? Because you see that like whatever he's trying to implement, like Bob said, it is not translating onto the pitch. But I'm sure that they would have tried to do something of this sort in the training pitch, right? Like, so then what is going on in the training pitch? Are they all playing against dummies?
So there were. So there were, sorry, Bob, to cut you off. So there were a couple of points there that I was getting to which was translated well in, I think, Ars blog. I remember hearing this in Ars blog or Arsenal Mission podcast. So where they mentioned that during the tough season that we were having last year, that Arsenal as a philosophy, as a club philosophy, has always been about one touch and passing football. So from the grassroots level to the first team, that has been happening since the days of Arsene Wenger, which means for 23 years, we have built our club as with the philosophy. So any player that comes through our academy from grassroots, or any coach is being given the instruction that this is how Arsenal plays. So every player is given that as the instruction to play, or that is their DNA to how to play.
Arsenal
and
DNA.
And
waiting for the terminology to come up.
So when you take that away, you don't have players who could, like, when and Deepak made the point of when there is some kind of a pressure on players, they go back to their basics, right? This is what we would try to do. And in this game, you could see that very clearly. When we saw Saka come in, when we see Emil Smith Rowe play, they kind of try and find each other. They kind of try and move around the pitch a lot. But if you see Shaka, or if you see Mari, or if you see the other players, they are not moving around the pitch. They are not creating spaces. They are not going for the ball. There
Yes,
should be.
these two are academy guys. Sorry to cut you. These are academy guys who've been brought up with that Arsenal DNA or
Yes.
philosophy that we keep talking about. And in
Yes.
their heads, it's very different from what is being done on the pitch.
Yes, and also I remember, say for example, sorry, I'm going on a little bit of rant here, but the thing is like, so I remember Henry talking about Pep's tactics while he was playing at Barcelona, where he says Pep has a structure to how he wants to play. That is, the ball will get to you. Don't move, right? Keep your position intact. But once you get the ball, do what you can do. Like, he'll give you all the freedom once you are in that space where he has told you to remain and you get the ball. I think Arteta is similar, but he doesn't have the players, or he doesn't have anything to back that up. So that is the problem, and he's trying to fix that by bringing in specialists. Like, so Deepak, this is a problem that I feel, right?
Okay,
He's
that's
building a
problem,
bit.
right? He's too rigid right now. He's like trying to like replicate what Pep did in Manchester City, but he should realize that he is not in City. He won't get like check after check after check, like for signed defenders, midfielders. He has to realize he's in a club which doesn't spend a lot, and he has to like use the players he has on his hand and like build a system around it. You cannot like go with a predefined system. This is what I'm going to play, and this is how you should play. Not every single player would like fit into it. You should like give some kind of freedom to the players which we have. Pepe used to be like really good, like when he was in Lille. I don't know whether he would like still be good, but for him, like just asking him to dribble past two players, which is not happening in Premier League. It is not at all happening. He is always doubled down by two defenders and he loses the ball. So Arteta needs to find a way where he can fit the players which he has. He's not going to get like 50 million like Pep gets for every single one of the players. So he has to build a system around the players which he has, not like bringing like, I have this system, I'll only use this, go. Otherwise, you're not fit enough, you will be dropped. That is not happening at Arsenal.
And
He has to realize that soon. Otherwise, he's getting sacked in like 10, like by December.
So that brings me to that point, right? Especially like where we heard the statistics that Arsenal has never won a Premier League game that we have been trailing at halftime under Arteta, and that means that Arteta has we have played 59 Premier League games under Arteta. It's not a smaller, it's not like a 10-game sample size, or it's not a huge like Arsene Wenger's sample size. So it is a very, very, very specific sample size that it shows that he's inflexible, or he's not able to impact on pitch tactics.
It comes always to the same two things. It's like the rigidity and like being predictable. It is the problem right now. He cannot like change. I appreciate him like for sticking to his principles, but if it is not working, you should change it. That should be also one of the characteristics of a manager, but he's not willing to do that. So
yeah, so if you look at during the game, when Nielsen was actually brought in, he tried to pass a ball
where nobody was there.
Oh, nobody there.
Yes,
right. You would all remember the scene.
It was supposed to be Chambers, I think. Chambers was supposed to overlap, and he just passed the ball and
I felt like, that was sort of like a watershed where you actually have someone to do something, but you don't have the personnel to perform whatever that your end results are, or what your end action should be. So that's actually summed up the pretty much our scenario in terms of what we were trying to do and what really translates into the pitch, right? And other thing, as you probably know, when finally Chambers was substituted, who was brought in? It was that summed up our right back scenarios as well.
We have four
And
right backs.
Villayan-
Four
Yeah.
right backs.
3 on bench.
Yeah, so and Villayan and Runnerson, our second choice goalkeeper, were not even on the bench. That shows how shambolic behind the scenes are. Right? These are not smaller problems.
Forget Rannasan. We were playing this kid Okonkwo all through Okonkwo. Yeah, all through the pre-season, and then he was not on bench. There is some other guy who is being as the backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So Arun, so the other stat that is very, very scary is that in this game we had 22.
You're just going on giving scary stat after scary stat on a Sunday morning. It's not fun.
but we had 22 shots on against this opposition, and that is the most that we have had under Arteta. Okay, that is a scary one by itself. The most scarier one is, I don't remember us making more than 3-4 shots.
You remember? I only remember 2. You remember 3-4? That's 2 more than me. I seriously remember that. Like I told you guys at the beginning, the shot that, like, I think it was Xhaka that went to the top corner, which Bob sent into Rosie, and it was like the Pepe shot that, which Raya saved at the near post, which should was probably what Leno should have done, saving at his near post, but Raya showed us how it should be done. And those are the only 2 shots that I remember, which makes me think that we are getting the ball, you talked about Pep's strategy where he says, like, get the ball to the final third, like, I'll make you get the ball and then, like, you do whatever you want. We are getting the ball to the final third and we just, like, are not having any sort of an idea what to do with the ball at that point, and we're just going randomly for shots. Because in the first half, we hardly did anything. And if we did get 22 shots, it seems like almost 20 of them were in the second half. Again, which showed, like, going back with the previous point, if we are down at halftime, we are not winning. So we put ourselves in a position where we are down at halftime. We make it very difficult for ourselves to win. And, like, just to give some hope for the fans and say we tried, we just try doing everything in the second half, which is not how football is supposed to work. So it is scary. I hope that we try to rectify this soon, because there's no point. Like Mourinho once famously said, you don't win football just based on your possession stats. It's the same thing. You don't win a game of football just based on, like, the number of shots you get. The number of shots have to, like Andre said, sometimes you've got to score goals in football, So it's instead of scoring goals with just, like, the stats, like, we got 22 shots, it's just like saying, yes, I came third in a 3-man race. It doesn't mean anything.
So that's his first thing to do, come third in a 2-man race. Deepak, sorry, you were cut off there.
Yeah, I don't remember having 22 shots because I was like, once they scored the second goal, I was like, okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of people.
After that, like, I remember Nuno Tavares taking a shot.
So that's where, Deepak. So my question is that let's talk about the goals, right? Like, let's talk about the goals. There are talks about that the first goal shouldn't have happened because the ball went out of play, and the second goal was a foul on Leno. I mean, all these are, like, valid scenarios if we had played somewhat better, right? But this is not something that this could be like a meek replay that we have been giving for a long time. But my question there is, like, we kind of, the only addition we had to the starting 11 was a centre back whom we bought for 50 million. But then the Tony guy, he came up and bullied both our centre backs. So let me put it this way, right? Him and White, they had 7 aerial duels throughout the game, and White won 3 out of the 7. He won 3?
Wow.
Yeah, he won 3 out of the 7. And so what are you? I mean, am I reacting too quickly about White, or am I creating a scenario where it looks bad on him?
It's just one thing. Keep this in mind before you answer, both of you guys. I know I'm not going to take a shot at this because I told the same thing. We brought up the topic of White in my Vada podcast, and I just told people this. It's just his first game. Let's give him some time before we start berating him. So keep this in mind. Like, it's going to be 10 games, and we'll probably start doing it. So keep that in mind when you have, like, with your decision of White and with whatever you want to say about White.
Yeah, go ahead, Deepak.
Yeah, actually,
White
Peter. Sorry. Sorry.
go ahead, Bob.
Twitter went into a meltdown.
Yeah, that's exactly what we don't want.
After they suddenly realized that Ben White was not actually strong in there and all those sort of things. It was there since quite a long time. And what he actually lacks in aerial presence, he makes it up by his defensive positioning and then the way that he actually contributes from the right hand side. And that's what should be looked at. And if we are actually a finished product, then what are you actually moving towards for? That there are, of course, every player has room for some improvement. I mean, even if you look at Lukaku, he might have some areas for him to work on and then try and improve upon. And that's what things are for. And having said that, one game is not a reflection of how good he is. I still judge him based on what he has done so far. I still rate him very highly. And I feel that if he progresses in the same way that he has done, even if he has actually lost aerial duels in the last game, he still has a very bright future ahead of him.
Okay, Deepak, go ahead.
White was signed as a ball playing centre back. His partner was supposed to be Gabriel, who is very good at aerial duels. That is what. Yesterday he wasn't partnered up with Gabriel. White wasn't like a ball, good in air.
Yes, no.
In Brighton, it was always like, who's that? Dunk.
Dunk. Yeah, he was playing in a back three with two tall defenders. Yeah,
those two are the ones who used to cover for him in air. He used to be the one who plays out from the back. That's what we wanted to replace Lewis with, and that's what we did. He had like similar stats in Brighton as well, like 40 or 45% of aerial duels punt. So that is expected out of him. So I wouldn't judge him on this. And Tony has been bullying every player for around like a year and a half. So White would turn out good when partnered with Gabriel. Mari is a last cast. That is like.
So no, the concern why I brought that up, Bob, is not about bringing down White. Okay, the reason why I brought that is a place that Arsenal has been traditionally weak, and that is a place that like Stoke would constantly get us at is playing aerial balls, like the long throw that happened for the second goal. So putting the ball up in the air has always been Arsenal's weakness, and we have done nothing to fix that, is what I was getting at. It has nothing to do with White as a point, but that was it. But to make the other, I mean, we would not have to go into why the goals were conceded, because that those happen. It's fine. It's fine. For me, the concern is attacking wise, right? Attacking wise, we did not play any ball through the center. All our attack came from Tierney, from crossing from Tierney, and that is all we did. But the most worrying thing for me in that is that Tierney and on the left side, Tierney played with what's his name, Martinelli, right? And I don't know which way it is, but Tierney to Martinelli, there was only one pass made throughout the entire game, and Martinelli to Tierney, there were 0 passes made throughout the entire game. And this is not the first time. And then when Saka came in, that kind of changed completely.
Yeah. So Tierney to Martinelli, there were almost 6 shots, if I'm right. And then back from Martinelli to Tierney, it was 1 shot or something. So it was a very odd ratio. Yeah. It showed that Martinelli wasn't complementing well with Tierney. I mean, in at least one game that we were able to see. They could improve over a period of time, but yeah, I mean, you could. I mean, based on what we have seen, there wasn't enough coherence between Tierney and Martinelli. And as you said, it rightly improved in a good way after Saka came in, and Tierney was much more effective. So was Saka. Yeah, so you should be playing in a certain system for quite a while for you to be used to these things, and that showed as well with Chambers, who was guilty for the first goal for not having, tracked out or, not being in the right position to actually stop the goal. And same case with Mari as well, he was caught off guard all the time, I felt. And if you look at all the things which happened between our players, Lokonga was actually a very good. I mean, he showed glimpses of what he could, which was again in a very positive way. Apart from Smith Rowe and Tierney, and as well Saka once he came on, Lokonga was the other positive that you could look at from this game.
Mm-hmm. So Deepak, let me get back to you on something before we wind this up quickly, about the opposition, right? They had a very clear plan, and did you look at how the manager interacted with the crowd and the crowd responded back to him? It kind of looked like, even though we lost, that kind of looked like something that we would want at some point in time, right? Like to have that connect with the club, to have that connect with the manager. Maybe it is because of them coming back after 75 years and everything. So what are your thoughts on the opposition as Brentford?
Yeah, that is what, like, they are coming back to Premier League. They will turn up. They want to turn up and show what they are. So obviously it was expected. For me, it was nothing new. It's like a team which is like wants to express themselves. Like,
yeah, but
basically, like, just
yeah,
like,
but like when Sheffield came up or some other team, I mean, Leicester has that vibe, like where the fans connect with the manager, with the club
when
in a way.
Sheffield came up, they literally finished like 7th or 8th. So yeah, that's what every single team, like, they want to try express themselves. Even Norwich, who was relegated like last season, they had like a proper structure. Like, they wanted to play like a attractive football, even though they conceded 4, 5, 6 things, but still they stuck up. Even though they got relegated, they came back again. So you can't like expect like a free run against like a championship team. That is not a given in Premier League. If you're in a Premier League, you are a good team. So we cannot expect, yeah, okay, this is like a starting, like first match of the season and against a championship team, we will get 3 points. You shouldn't go with that mentality. It should be like, we are playing Manchester United in every single one of the game. That should be our mentality. Otherwise, we wouldn't turn up at any single match. That is what I feel. So I don't know, like, that's what I said. Like, it's the cultural problem, or I don't know, like, I cannot put it into words properly, but something is wrong where we don't turn up at all. It is with the managers, players, or anything. I don't know.
So let's put a stop to the review of the game. Arun, do you have any transfer rumors for us?
Transfer rumors, new ones. The only one is Tammy Abraham's joined Chelsea. So there goes another
Roma.
like
Roma.
Roma. He's from Chelsea, right? He's from Chelsea and he's joined Roma. Yeah. So that was one important thing. One of our targets that we're chasing. Finally a good target from Chelsea that we could have had instead of one of those retirees, someone who's young and we lost him. It seems like Odegaard is the one that we might be going for, given Maddison has gone cold. And it might not even be like a proper sale. It might just be a loan. So these are the two things that we have. Apart from that, like there's nothing about the goalkeepers, nothing about the right backs over the last 2-3 days, which makes it seem like we're just going to these two guys. Because of course there are left field choices like Dybala's rumors, and Dybala wants to. They're trying to find it difficult to get a deal, him to sign a deal at Juventus. So again, as usual, when there's some problem with a player in some club in Europe, anywhere, we get linked. So again, we've been linked along with Tottenham. But apart from that, I do not see any new transfer rumors coming up. So that's like gone a bit cold, which is a bit worrying.
Odegaard won't improve us, like, not even one bit.
So anyone else has any transfer?
It's clear like what we miss. We miss like a mobile midfielder who needs to score goals. The last one we had, even though he's not a proper midfielder, he was a goal scoring winger, Alexis Sanchez. After that, we didn't have shit, and we have been struggling since he left.
So any other rumors?
Yeah, so there was a rumor from Sport in Barcelona who've been mentioning that in the event that Brentford leaves Barcelona, there is a possibility that either one of those strikers or top duo, Lacazette and Auba, could be offered.
Yeah.
We all know that Barcelona are cashed up at the moment. They don't really have anyone to pay for, and they've been lowering their players' wages or to get their new free players registered. So there is unlikely a possibility that we might get a fee for them. So
See, like,
Um,
it is like we in like couple of or 3-4 years, we would like turn up like into Barcelona, like that is for sure. Like signing like players for like huge amount and giving ridiculous wages. That is the direction we are heading right now.
Hmm. Anyways, so if that is the end of the transfer rumors that we have had, let's do like this is a section that we tried last season but then discontinued. But this season we are trying to keep it as much as we can. So this section I would try and add a Zoom kind of like music with it or something, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But this is like the last game. I mean this game last season kind of section. So where we kind of see where we stand. I mean, this is just one game, but you could see, we could compare it with the last season and the season before 2014 and 15, where we finished in top 4 the last time. I mean, apart from the Leicester winning where we finished second, that's a very odd season. So I'm not considering that. But 14-15 is when we finished third. So I'm comparing that season with the last season and this season. So as you can see, the first game we lost to Brentford this season. Last season we had Fulham, whom we won 3-0 against, and we had the 3 points on board. And in 14-15 season we had Crystal Palace, again 2-1 victory with 3 points on the board. Right now it doesn't make much sense because this is just one game. But maybe if we keep building on it for the entire season, we would be able to see some kind of a pattern, or we could do some inference. That's the whole point of this section. So
when you look at the 2020 thing, it will be like friends. There is a meme like Phoebe will be like, "Oh my eyes,
Bob, do you have a stat section for us today?
Yeah, I have got little bit of stats. It might not be much, but still I've got little info to share. Having started against a newly promoted opposition in their first game, Arsenal have lost for the first time since 1966. In total, we've just only lost 5 times to newly promoted teams. That's through the season, right since 2012. So considering that, this is one of those 5, or this is one of more to come. Yeah. In the 4 times that we've played first ahead of others, that we've started the first game of the season ahead of other teams. This was our first defeat. The rest of the 3 were all wins, basically against West Bromwich, Leicester City, and Fulham. And this is again our first opening day defeat, opening day away defeat, I should say, after, that was after Sunderland that we played away in 2000 season.
So I think we've been setting new records like that we are not proud of every single season.
Yeah.
Bob, I appreciate your honesty. You say you support Arteta and you still give these facts.
Yeah, so I think we touched upon this point earlier, where Arsenal has never won a Premier League game under Arteta so far after trailing at halftime. We've drawn 4 and then we've lost 17 of them. And if you look at when we lost our Premier League game, away Premier League game, it was back on 6th of Feb when we lost against Aston Villa. And the other thing which Vijay touched upon was the fact that, we had 22 shots, which was actually against the joint highest without scoring a goal. Joint highest in a defeat. If you look at Tierney's contribution, he contributed 63% of Arsenal's attack. So we showed that we almost had an invisible attacking, partnership or anything that could create a contributing chance towards a goal. It was more Tierney's, attacking abilities that we were able to, get through even some of these stats so far. Many people there were actually lots of talks going on with, this team was inexperienced enough. They are perhaps very young, too young to compete and all those sort of things. And many of them thought this was the youngest squad, youngest average 11 playing in a Premier League game. The answer was actually wrong. The 11 which featured against Brentford was averaging between 24 years and 211 days, which was still higher than our youngest average 11 squad, which was 22 years and 238 days when we played against Portsmouth, and we won 3-0 that game with goals from Lord Bentner and Carlos Vela. So I mean, this was some of the stats that I compiled based on what we displayed against Brentford. But yeah, I think we'll have more to come coming games. Hopefully in a positive way, I would say.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks for that. It's really nice to hear. And although this has been a Debbie Downer kind of pod, but we got through the whole defeat. We did the review. So thanks, guys, for joining in. We would we would join again for the preview for the next game, which is going to be as painful as this. I will give I will give you that.
Let's hope something good happens. Yeah, over the next 3 days, let's hope something good happens.
Yeah, but thank you, guys. Thank you for joining today, and as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.